So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820. Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. First show of the year. I know we tricked you. We usually come on Wednesdays, but we're on Mondays now at 6 p.m. So thank you for coming. So join every Monday now at 6 p.m. and we'd love to have you. So we have Eva's not here this evening. She had some family things going on tonight. So I'm here and she will join us next time. And we have our lovely guest who is back to visit with us that we had in December, Miss Tay, and we're so glad to have you back.
I'm glad to actually be back. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I was excited when you said, come on back. I was like, absolutely.
You are a wonderful guest and you look so lovely. So it's the new year. How appropriate. We talk about New Year's things about New Year's resolutions, New Year's challenges, New Year's, out with the old, in with the new. That's kind of the things we say when the new year starts. And so today we're going to talk about that and talk about, the holidays just ended and, we are on, some people are on a really high during the holidays, and then some people are on lows because, you went through something either last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And the holidays don't always feel the same. But
Yeah.
January comes and then we're kind of back to like normal. And it's a new year. So what does new year mean? I used to tell you when I heard the new, when I first got into my grief and I
Mhm.
heard the new normal, I thought, well,
Oh,
I associated new with good.
yeah.
And I thought, well, what I'm going through is not good. I remember a person said that to me like about maybe a month after my son died. And I was like, I had no energy to fight at that point.
Yeah.
And so I just said, um, no,
Yeah.
are you there yet? Like it's a month and it's not like it's my kid.
Mhm.
Not that every loss is significant, but I was just like, anyway. So I thought, but then I went to Grief Share, and they had a week that they did that, like the new normal, and I
Mm.
still didn't like that term,
Yeah.
but then realized the definition of new doesn't necessarily mean good, it just means something different.
Right.
So different, good, not the same, right? So we're gonna kind of talk about, how to overcome some challenges, how to let go of things. Uh, they're never easy things. And, you know, I've learned that using the word overcoming, like
Mhm.
ing,
Mhm.
instead of overcomed,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Because we're always constantly in the process of healing, in the process of overcoming. And so we're not like, we have not arrived at the destination. Because if you've arrived, that means like you got it together, right?
Yep.
And none of us have it together. We just put up a good front.
Agreed. I like that. Agreed.
So we asked myself and Eva, we're like, oh, we want Tay back in. What do we talk about? Well, it's the new year. So let's talk about some challenges and some things that we can help our audience and our listeners that are joining us. This title is a common thread. So we all go through these things, right? New Year, holidays, all that. So let me ask this question, Miss Tay. What are, when we ask our audience, I'm going to ask the audience this question, and then what are you intentionally leaving behind from last year?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Since we're talking about New Year, new things, um, ask yourself that question. And if I know there's a way to share or ask questions on here. So if you have that, I may not be able to answer the question now, but maybe later we can go back and kind of read the questions
Mhm.
but just ask yourself that question. What are you intentionally leaving behind from last year?
For me, what I'm intentionally doing, I mean, when I say intentional, that means that I am purposeful. I go back and I look at it on purpose and I sort through it. I determine what is and what isn't going with me on purpose. And for me, what I'm intentionally leaving behind me is defeat.
Mm,
I felt a lot of defeat last year.
okay.
I separated from a great position. I struck out to be an indie author, to start my own nonprofit organization, to really take GCHM to another level, and experienced a lot of obstacles,
Mm,
a lot of pitfalls, a lot of, I guess, things I wasn't prepared for. I mean, you think you're ready. You're like, yes, I'm walking this out in faith, and you don't realize that the moment that you say, this is what I'm going to do, the obstacles automatically start to form because you don't know what the path looks like in its entirety. You can't see the whole road. You can only take it one step at a time. And so along that way, I felt a lot of defeats. So
mm,
this year, when I started this year, I said, no more defeat. Defeat is not going to be the focus. What's going to be the focus is what happens when those things come. Because oftentimes they're not really defeats, they're delays.
mm. That's a better way to look at it.
It is.
Delay
They're
opposed
just they're
to,
delays. They're
yeah.
they're the obstacles that form because we can't see the whole of the path yet. So you don't know that you're going to run into this, or you should have zigged zigged left instead of right. And so now I see them and I say, oh, okay, it's a delay. I'll get there, just not today.
I like that. Mine is along the lines of yours, just a different word: excuses. So instead of using the word excuse, so you just made me think of that. Instead of using the word excuse, I'm going to extend myself grace in those moments that I don't reach those goals or don't reach whatever thing that I'm trying to do. But realizing or reflecting on I'm making excuses. And or then making myself say, okay, well, I didn't reach it today, but tomorrow's got to come at some point, right? Like
Yes.
I can't say like, oh, tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and then I don't
Right.
do it.
Agreed.
Right. And whatever that looks like, I think for me, like I know this is one thing that a lot of people do. And, I had after my grief and everything, I lost a lot of weight when my son was in the hospital and gained a lot of weight when my husband was sick. And then I got to a point where I took a picture of myself in the mirror with like a sports bra and like shorts.
Yeah.
And when I kept that picture and I looked at it, I said, today is the day. And I lost about 30 pounds. I didn't lose it overnight, but I lost it. Well, I've I've gained it back and lost a little bit. But kind of plateaued, and I thought, well, what other changes do I need to make? So for me, my health is really important, and I want to like that's a goal for me. Like I want to be able to be healthy so I could be around as long as I can and be there for my son and be there for the people that I love. And so no more excuses for me. And so, but I'm going to extend myself grace. So, what are those small changes? I think that's probably one thing that maybe we can talk about, piggyback. Like, what are some small changes for you as far as that piece of it, like that you just spoke about? Like, what small changes can you make?
So there is an amazing book called The Paradoxical Commandments of Anyway. And it's almost, it came before Mel Robbins Let Them. And it talks about doing it anyway. Even if you're tired, do it anyway. Even if you're sad, do it anyway. Even if you think that you're not going to finish it, do it anyway. And so that's my small step. No matter how I feel in the
Wow.
moment, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm actually releasing my next book on the 25th, and I'm like exhausted. But I got a deadline. I'm like, hey, you can either A, do it anyway, or create the condition that is rushed, feeling overwhelmed. And why do you have to do that? It doesn't have to all be done at one time.
Right.
It's tiny steps that lead to the finished product, but do it anyway. So my tiny step is always, whenever I feel like I'm not going to do it, I'm like, no, remember, even if you're scared,
Do it anyway. Well, you say that, and it makes me think of people in the Bible. It's not the absence of fear, right? Like, I think when you're tired, it's not the absence of, like, when somebody pushes through, it's not the absence of being tired.
Right.
You just push through anyway.
Mhm.
Not the absence of not being fearful. You are, but you still do it.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think that that's the misconception of like, the Bible says, do not be afraid. But a lot of these Bible characters, what they did was they put their trust in God.
Yes.
And they said, okay, I still feel this way, Lord, but I'm going to trust you. And so I think that's the same thing. It's not the absence of any of these things. I think you do it in spite of it. Right. I feel depressed today or whatever the thing is. And all I can do today is put 2 feet on the ground, take a shower, and just maybe read 2 Bible verses or read a page of a book or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. You got to win.
Yes. And it's a healing win. It's
Yes.
a healing win. It may be small. To others, it may appear minute. But in your world, when you're the person suffering, it's huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next question.
They're answering the question over here, too.
Oh, they are. What are they saying?
So Keith said his answer was, I'm personally leaving behind the feeling of hopelessness while also still holding on to hope. I was being delusional. That's powerful.
Well, praying for you, Keith.
Definitely.
How do you grieve what didn't work out while still moving forward?
That is a great question. Why? Because I believe two things can exist at one time. You can
Mm,
grieve while still holding on to hope. That's why when I read this question, I was like, but do you have to? You can actually do both. And I actually do both.
mm,
I go through the grief process, but at the end, I say, that process is over. Now it's time to lean into hope.
mm,
I don't give up hope just because I have grief.
mm,
I give them both their time because one won't outlive the other.
mm.
They can both be true at the same time.
Wow. That makes me think of Job.
Exactly.
I didn't you read that story 100 times, and even in the 100 times that I read it, until I actually went through what I went through,
Yeah.
I saw it in a completely different light. And I thought, Job said two very key things. He said, one, I know my Redeemer lives.
Yes.
And he also said, I wish I had never been born. Hope and grief in
Yeah.
the same person, same moment, right? So yeah.
And even more powerful with Job 2:10, he said, will you accept goodness from God and not trouble?
Mm,
So will we only serve when it's good?
right,
Will we only show up when it serves us?
right.
Will you only do the thing when you benefit? Will you
Mm.
accept goodness from God and not trouble?
A friend of mine said something like that you're saying, that last Tuesday was 10 years that my son had passed away. And this friend who used to live around here, she texted me and she said something so key. It was amazing to me. So, she texted me, I can't believe it's 10 years. And we kind of talked about that. And then I responded, hi, my friend, sweet friend, not sure how I just saw this. So sorry. I can't believe it's been 10 years. Time has stood still, but gone so quickly as well. Thanks, friend. God has truly been good despite it all. God's goodness never changes. Then she said this. I was like, boom, like mic drop. He truly is good, and you have been one to respond to his goodness.
Oh, mic drop.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, it took my breath away when she said that. So, exactly, is God only good when he's good? Like when good things happen, when
Good
we
things are
experience,
happening to you.
right,
Is God only good when good things are happening to you?
right,
And we have a tendency to do that. We compartmentalize God. We say, God is only good when good things are happening to me. But
right.
even when God is good and good things are happening to you, we somehow imagine that means that we're forgotten, that we're
Mm,
forsaken. So somehow it diminishes God's goodness,
mm,
even though the good is still happening to somebody you care about. The good is still happening in the space that you're sharing. The good is still happening in the world, but you say, because it's not happening to you, now we're questioning if God is still good.
mm.
But in
That's
reality,
mm.
God is always good.
Ooh, that's deep. I love that. Oh, all right. Let's go to the next question. What time is it? Okay, there we go. We're good. Keeping time, keeping the clock on my mind. Um, well, this is a good question. What does healthy closure look like for you?
Oh my, that's a great. I actually was hoping you would ask that one because I just had a conversation with a really good friend who was going through some tough times. And often when those tough times come, we're trying to find meaning. We're trying to make sense of it all. And we start seeking closure as a way to make sense of it all. But in reality, you don't always get closure. Not the kind that you're hoping for. Not the kind where you get to engage with somebody else and find out what their perspective is. Almost an evaluation, a survey of the circumstances, so that you could have both pieces of the information to make a educated determination about how you feel about it. So for me, healthy closure looks like saying, even if I don't get closure, I'm okay.
I
I'm
love
okay.
that. I love
Because
that.
the only person's response, reactions, emotions that I can navigate are my own. So the real closure is mine to create, not mine to hope that somebody else will feel that I'm valuable enough to give.
I love that. What does new really mean to you this year? New goals, new rhythms, or a new way of being?
For For me, new means showing up with grace,
Hmm.
with a new mercy for myself. I don't always give myself the same grace that I extend
Mm.
or hope to receive. I'm so good at giving grace,
Mm.
but I'm not good at receiving.
Why do you think that that's the case? Because I think that's a common thread. Like we're all like that. Why do you think that?
It stems from different roots. I think for each of us, it's different. Sometimes it could be something you experienced in childhood. Sometimes it could be something you experienced in a relationship. Sometimes it could be something you experienced at a job or with a certain group of friends. It all has very different roots, but it definitely is rooted in our worth and value centers.
Mm.
It always comes back to our idea, our own self-image, our idea of ourselves and what we are worth, how we are valued, and what we deserve.
Mm.
And so for me, new looks like, no matter how I show up, giving myself that new mercy, operating in that grace for myself, not expecting perfection when there's nothing perfect in this system.
Mm.
And perfection is not even required to enter heaven.
Exactly. Now, do you feel like if we extend ourselves more grace, that we're like that with others, or it's not interchangeable?
I think if we extend ourselves more grace, then we feel better. And when it comes time to extend that grace to others, we're more capable. We have more capacity.
Mm.
Because oftentimes we don't extend grace because we're holding on to things, unforgiveness,
Mm.
anger,
Right.
frustration, anxiety. But if you extended that same grace to yourself, if you allow yourself to be washed clean, you forgive yourself, you say to yourself you're worthy, you say to yourself you're deserving, you measure your value, then it's easy when someone else comes because there's not those little details like competitiveness.
Mm.
Not trying to see somebody as less than you so that you feel better about you.
Mm.
If you say that this is how I see myself, I think it's so much easier to extend grace to others.
Right, right. Well, it's like that verse in the Bible, do unto others, or yeah, I mean, how can you, if you can't extend yourself grace or forgiveness or any of these things, mercy, mercy is like, we're not worthy.
Yeah.
I need grace and mercy. We're just not worthy, right? But we give it anyway.
Yeah.
God and his mercy gave it to us and we're not worthy. And then we're humbled by that. I think that it causes us to be humble when we also forgive and are forgiven. Um, there's like this release. I think when you not I think when you forgive or you are forgiven or you forgive, there's this release.
Agreed.
And it's like I've seen people that have done like really grave crimes and they've shown it like the person saying, "I forgive you." It's like all of a sudden they're just like this weight has just dropped off of them. And it's just such a gift that you give someone.
I think that true forgiveness releases both parties.
Yeah.
You're both freed from a bondage that neither of you can carry.
Right.
The offender, if that's the term you want to use, and then the victim.
Mm.
When you forgive, you're no longer the victim. What has happened has no power over you.
Right.
You get to move in the freedom of your spirit.
Mm.
You get to continue to live life with hope and love and gentleness and kindness and patience and peace. And that person gets to move forward in their own healing and self-improvement.
Mm.
So if you hold on to it, you don't just have one hostage, you have two.
Yeah, so forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's actually our pastor, that was the first sermon of the year. And he goes, I'm like, that's a great sermon. It's not your typical New Year's sermon, but forgiveness, letting go of resentment and guilt and shame and all of that.
Oh, great. Honoring and accepting that things didn't work.
Mm.
Oh, it cut out. That things didn't work, and it doesn't. I can't see it, Keith, but I think it was great. It was honoring and accepting that things didn't work, but that things still have the room to evolve, to improve. Just because it didn't work today does not mean there isn't a space and time where it won't work. It just didn't work today.
Thank you for sharing that, Keith. We appreciate your feedback.
Anyone is bad for choosing whatever they chose for them. Absolutely. Just because it doesn't work didn't mean that anyone is bad for choosing what's best for them. Absolutely. 100% agree.
How do you approach the new year without pressure, comparison, or burnout?
I always approach a new year's with renewed ideas. Like, I don't go in with the same old ideas about myself. It always starts with me. I always believe that if we're taking care of ourselves, then everything that ripples out is going to be affected. I say, if I didn't accomplish it back then, start fresh, reset the deadline, start over, but continue until you're finished. Don't quit. Don't come up with the excuses. Don't operate in the spirit of defeat. Just keep going. Sometimes you're going to experience delays. That's part of life. A delay is part of life. We use that term, life is lifing. Well, what does that look like? What does that really mean? That means unexpected delays. That means unforeseen circumstances. That means emergencies. That means urgencies that you hadn't planned for. So if we're saying that life is lifing, then what are your contingencies when life is lifing? What grace are you giving yourself when life is lifing? It's new. For me, that means, reset the deadline. So I didn't hit that one. But don't keep resetting it to the point that you are defeated and you don't finish. Set a realistic deadline. Do something you know you can achieve. Because the thing that I've learned in this grief journey is that the small healing wins create the next steps. If you have those small healing wins, you're so much more empowered when you go to take that next step. And it's the next step that you need to keep making the next step to your absolute healing.
So give me an example of a small win for you with your grief journey.
A small win for me with my grief journey is getting up and talking about my daughter, not being afraid to share her story, not allowing it to minimize me as a mom, not saying I failed because my daughter's not here. That's a healing win for me. Telling her story, walking out her legacy, and remembering that I still am the mom of 3 kids, just one in heaven.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. What would you say to someone who feels tired of starting over?
You're not starting over. You're starting wiser.
Mm.
I mean, if you stop looking at it like you're starting over and start saying you're starting with more information, more knowledge, more tools, more resources, more wisdom, you're not really starting over. You're just starting wiser.
I love that. I love that. How can listeners reframe setbacks as part of their story, not the end of it? That's a really good question.
I do a lot of reframing. A lot
Okay.
of reframing. That's one of the things I think is a superpower that we don't embody enough. We don't utilize reframe enough. We should be, every situation in life, you should be looking for the silver lining. You should be saying, wait a minute, how can I see this differently? I talk a lot about it in some of my works. And it's easy. Instead of seeing the worst of things, say, what have I learned from this? And what has this taught me that I can now share? What can you share? We're creatures who like to evolve. We love evolution, and evolution looks like sharing what we know. It's like the thing with leaders. People love to be the leader, but real leaders don't develop followers. Real leaders develop other leaders.
Absolutely.
You know if you're a profound leader. You know if you're a leader worth your salt. If everybody that's coming under your leadership is able to lead in your absence. That's what it looks like.
Creating other disciples.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if your story is helping somebody else survive, giving them the tools of resilience, helping them to navigate a difficult space, then absolutely that should be enough of a reframe. What I've gone through, even though it was tough for me, it was helpful for somebody else.
Right. Ooh. We're going to stop there because I don't want to, this question is deep. So I don't want to cut that question off because I think there's a lot in that because we have 25 seconds. But we're going to come back after the break. So please, please, please come back. This is I love this podcast. I love talking about these things. Well, there's our music. So we'll see you in about 2 minutes. Come back, please.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us. NTX Radio proudly serves all of North Texas and can be heard all over the world on the TuneIn Radio Network and on the NTX Radio app, available on Android and Apple CarPlay, or just ask Alexa to play NTX Radio. Check out our lineup and more at ntxradio.com. We thank our valued sponsors in helping us amplify the voices of North Texas communities and businesses. So, protect your family with a will or trust. Connect with Todd Hurd and Associates, attorneys at law, for all your civil law needs at texasattorneylaw.com. Processing credit cards? Join the Swipe Nation today and save on processing fees at swipenationusa.com. Locally owned and operated, and will beat any rates. Got sleeves? Dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com for women's accessories and more, made in the USA. And it's time to take your business to the next level. Hosting a radio show and podcast is a powerful way to connect with a wider audience, build brand awareness, and drive sales. Let's discuss your business goals and how a custom show can help you achieve them. Email Tiffany at t.hurd@ntxradio.com to get amplified. Okay, well, for those coming back, we had left at a question, and the question was, how can listeners reframe setbacks as a part of their story, not the end of it? Well, how I wanted to conclude it or continue with this question is, let's maybe, since this part, we usually use the second half to kind of talk about Bible characters and how to relate, how to kind of tie them into this. Because, they were people too. And, we make them to be these superheroes, but they were really just like us. So give an example of a Bible character that had a setback, and we realized that that was not the end of their story. I mean, I know there's a lot of them, but
There's tons of them.
there's probably everyone in there.
I mean, we've been talking about Job most of this podcast, because this story is so profound, and the setbacks were insurmountable. I mean, you could not deny that this was the toughest position to be in. It was the hardest place. But again, I go back to the moment where he said, when his wife said, just, curse God and die. And he looked at her and said, foolish woman, will you accept goodness from God and not trouble, for they proceeded from the same source? And that was just a powerful reframe. Like, wow, wait a minute. what are we saying here? If we're only going to serve when it's good, we're only going to believe when it's good, we're only going to have faith when it's good, we're only going to have works when it's good, then what are we really saying? We have to take back our power and say that this is a part of what we've prayed for. Sometimes your circumstances are part of what you're praying for. Why? Because God says, okay, you've prayed for this, but you've got to go through this so that when you arrive at this desired destination, you can actually steward it in a way that is honorable, a way that does produce the fruit that you've asked me for. You asked for wisdom. Well, you cannot have wisdom without going through things that you have to decide. You cannot have peace without knowing chaos. You cannot have joy without knowing grief. What are you asking for? You have to say that this is part of my story. I'm actually walking through. I've prayed here. It's like Daniel. He said, the angel, when he showed up, he said, and I'm going to paraphrase because I just love a good story. When the angel showed up, when Gabriel showed up, he was like, whew, do you know that the first day you set your mind to know the answer was sent to you? But I tell you, I was detained 1 in 20 days in the spirit realm by the prince of Persia. And it wasn't until Michael showed up and literally cleared the way that I was able to arrive to you to deliver this powerful message that I could have brought you the very first day. So if you stop thinking that this is the stopping, this is the end of your road, and realize that this is probably just the delay, something in the spirit realm might be delaying you. And what really has happened is that the first day you desired to know your message, your answer, your solution, and every resource was sent to you. And all God's asking you to do is wait.
I love that. You know, it makes me think of Job. The setback was, okay, well, he lost his 10 children. His whole body was with boils.
He lost his wealth.
He lost his wealth. And then in the end, it talks about, you know, he was given 10 more children. His wealth was restored tenfold.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'm guessing that was probably the same wife. The Bible doesn't say,
Doesn't
but
say he got a new wife.
he doesn't say he got a new wife. So we're assuming that God extended mercy to her and forgiveness for, you know, saying what she said. And she had a moment, right?
But Sonia, let's talk about her moment for a second. You and I are both survivors of child loss. You know that loss. How could you condemn someone who lost all of her children? We don't birth our spouses. We don't birth our parents. But guess who we do bring into the world? Guess what vessel God does use to bring into the world? Our children. How could you condemn someone with the greatest pain of her life? Even her husband, he didn't condemn her. He just set her straight.
Right. Absolutely.
I just need for you to look at this. We're in this together and wait for it. People don't often think about what she also lost. Back in the biblical times, when you got leprosy, you couldn't live in the house with your family. You lived amongst the colony. You were put outside of your community. So she didn't even get to grieve with her husband. She was alone, grieving the loss of her 10 children. Where's her mercy?
Right. You know, I spoke at a women's group back in September, and we talked about that very thing. And I said, you know, we give her such a hard time. You know, can we extend a lot of grace?
Yes.
She had lost all her kids. She lost
all of her kids,
her wealth, her livelihood. Now she sees her husband suffering. And I didn't even, now that you're mentioning it about the leprosy, I didn't even think about that they had to be like, she couldn't even be with him.
No.
That's crazy.
Yes.
But I mean, you can't be in the same space because you can catch it, right? And then you would be unclean.
And then this is the only other human being on the face of the planet who can fully understand
your pain,
the pain that you're experiencing.
Absolutely. So
you're suffering, literally. And hearing the statement, we can assess that her faith may not have been as rooted as Job's, who, if you pay attention, was also shaken in his.
Right.
So if you're the thing that anchors me, and now I can't even be with you, what do I have to hold on to if even me, not saying that that's the fullness of her experience, but if you're the thing that brings me closer to God, then what am I holding on to if you're also the thing that's absent?
She had a moment of despair, a moment of
Yes.
crying out to God. That was a cry out to God.
Yes. And her husband said, wait, hold on.
Yes.
I may not be with you, but I need for you to reframe this.
Mm.
I need for you to reframe this. I need for you to see this from a different perspective.
Right, right.
Will you accept goodness from God? We've had goodness. We were wealthy. We had beautiful, healthy children. We've lived a life of joy, abundance, and prosperity. Will we only serve God when that is present? Or will we even accept that sometimes God has to see us through a darker time in life, a tougher time, a harder time? Will you accept goodness from God
I love
and not
that.
trouble?
You know, at the end, he gave him all these things back, but he still lost all that.
Yeah.
So we remember that God restored it tenfold, but he still had to live with the grief that he had.
Yeah.
So let's, if we put that into perspective, so that there was that was the chapter, a chapter of his life, and then God restored, but he still pushed through that moment or that time. I mean, we don't know how long that was when he lost everything, how the time frame of it, but I love that story. It's one of my favorite. But then I also think of Peter. Peter's another character who, he was very, gregarious and boisterous and jumped first, asked questions later, spoke out of terms, said things he shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
And then
Did things he shouldn't have done.
Did things he shouldn't have done. He even, I mean, when the lady said, you have an accent, you're not from here.
Yeah.
I know you.
Identified
You followed that Jesus guy.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, after when he did it, right, then he, to the point where the third time he was cursing. We don't know the language. We have to remember that he was a fisherman, a sailor.
Yeah.
So he had that kind of mouth.
Hence the term, cussing like a sailor. Cussing like a sailor.
And then Jesus had said to him, you will deny me before. He said, you will deny me 3 times.
Yeah.
That you don't know me. And then in that moment and he said the rooster will crow, right? And when he heard the rooster and he saw Jesus.
And he broke.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's not all of Peter's life, though. Yeah. That was just a moment in time. And when he wept and left, but he said, remember we shared that verse the last time you were here? Satan wants to sift you
like wheat.
Like wheat.
And here's the thing about Peter that I think that Peter has, and there's an amazing lesson in what Peter went through. And that is when Christ came to him and said, Peter, the enemy has asked to sift you as wheat, but I've prayed for you. And Peter, oh no, I would never, I'll never deny you. I'll never deny you. One of the things that stood out for me is that you're talking to the Messiah. You're talking to the Savior of humanity. And you don't realize the fullness of that, right? But you also, there's something else that Peter missed. And that is that we do not know ourselves except to the extent of which God has revealed us to us. So we can't stand on any absolutes even with ourselves.
Wow.
Because we only know ourselves to the extent of which we've been revealed to ourselves. That's why people come into our lives and bring out these different aspects of our personality, our character. That's why things change our being, or our responses, our reactions, because we don't truly know ourselves except to the extent of which we've been revealed to ourselves. So we should even proceed with caution with ourselves. Give ourselves the same grace. Make room for you to grow, not just so that other people get to know you, but so you get to know you. When I lost my daughter, I remember leaving our last day at the retreat, and they said, well, is there any one a great epiphany that you've had since you've been here? And mine was, oh boy, I think I need to go home and introduce the new me to my family, because I don't think any of us know her either.
Oh, wow.
I have to go now and introduce myself to my family as I now accept that I'm existing in this new reality. Because she's not showing up anything like me prior to this loss. This is a whole new person. And a lot of this person is even unfamiliar to me.
So the reframing for you, what was that though? Like you said, you were not the same person, so you had to introduce that person to your family. So who was that person then, or who is that person now?
When I went and I literally did it. I went home. I remember gathering all my things and getting home, and me and my mom were sitting on the back porch, and I said, I think something needs to happen for the two of us, and because my mom was dealing, she's her first grandchild, period.
Right.
And that was such a great loss for her. And I said, I think that we need to do something. And she said, what's that? I said, hi, I'm Tay. I lost my daughter Deja April 21st, 2018, and I haven't been the same since. And my mom looked at me and she just started crying, and she said, well, I'm Leola, and I lost my grandbaby the same day, and I haven't been the same since. And it was so powerful to realize that even though we look outwardly the same, we have been completely rewired, heart, mind, body, soul. And we needed to allow the room for that to be spoken, so that when those different characteristics, those different traits, those different aspects of our being showed up that were less familiar than the other, we gave each other the room and the space. I didn't hold your feet fixed to the fire because you didn't show up like I once known you to. And it was freeing. It was liberating. For me, it was liberating.
Well, I'm going to do that. I'm Sonia Verhel, and I lost my son, Gianmarco, on January 6th, 2016, and I have not been the same since then.
Okay. I lost my daughter, and I haven't been the same since 2018, April 21st.
Well, that was a moment. I like to pause in those moments because I feel like they're a moment to kind of sit back and kind of think about what just happened. And I think for our listeners, I think that that's something that if something happened to you in this past year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30, whatever the time period is, say that to yourself today. My name is XYZ, and I went through this, and I have not been the same since. Say that out loud to someone today.
Or introduce yourself to someone close to you in your life.
Yes. Yes. A friend, a spouse, a child, a parent, whoever that may be. What does hope look like when circumstances haven't changed yet?
Like Jesus. Hope always looks like Jesus. It always looks like Jesus. It never hope in my life from a small child to an adult woman has never looked any different. Hope looks like Jesus. It's always looked the same.
I love that. What does overcoming this year look like when it's quiet, unseen, and ongoing?
What does overcoming looks like every year? Overcoming for me looks like, how did I show up like Jesus in my life? That's overcoming for me. Was I able to really emulate, to walk out an aspect of Christ's character in my life, like for real, not in word, but literally indeed? Where did I show up like Christ? For me, the best version of me is always on display when I'm helping somebody else. When I take my eye off my own circumstance and place it on something else, the best version of me always shows up. And I always remind myself that that's what Jesus said. Take your eye off your own circumstance and put it on me. Trust me. Even if you can't trust you, even if you can't trust your circumstances, even if you can't trust the people in your space, trust me. So overcoming always looks like me being able to say, I need to take my eye off of this and place my eye over here. I don't care what the outcome might be at the time, but if I'm able to remove my fixation, my focus, my ruminating on this same unfinished circumstance and put it on Jesus, then I've done it. I've done it, and it's hard. Boy.
It is hard, and it's because question is profound, because it's what does overcoming look like this year when it's quiet?
Looks like prayer.
Looks like prayer.
Looks like crying. For me, it looks. I don't cry. I'm one of those people. I like to hold it all in. I struggle with that level of vulnerability. So when I'm able to cry, I know that I'm also able to overcome. I know that I have broken through a wall of I don't of oppression almost when I'm able to just cry.
What about the unseen part?
When it's unseen, when I can't see it, or when it's
Either one, or either in someone else. Like when you, like, I think I want to tie this into the common thread because, you know, uh, a lot of people, you talked about vulnerability,
yeah,
right? So we have trouble as a society, I think, especially here in the US or Western society,
yeah,
to show vulnerability. So sometimes that's quiet,
yeah,
it's or internal.
yeah,
Like we talked about that when you were here last about, difference between mourning and grieving.
yeah,
Grieving is what happens internally. We always grieve. Now the mourning could look different.
yes,
It could be
grieving,
crying, it could be anger, it could be
shouting,
shouting, it could be a lot of things, right?
yeah,
But the grief inside, that's always something we carry with us. That looks different too. It's not going to be probably raw like it was in the beginning,
yeah,
but over time it
it
becomes
evolves.
new or different,
Yeah.
right? And so I think I just want to tie it in with our viewers, like as far as the unseen part, how do you feel like people in those, how do they feel unseen, or why do people hide, I guess, behind
The
the
masks.
masks
Yeah.
of, they don't wanna become vulnerable, or they're going through something and everything is, "I'm fine," or you go to church and, "How are you today?" And everyone's like,
Like
"I'm
I'm good.
good," all that, so
I think in our society, especially in Western culture, it diminishes you. You when you see somebody break, when you see someone struggling emotionally, mentally, spiritually, however the vulnerability is revealed, literally we tend to diminish the person.
Mhm,
Somehow it lessens them. And so because we are aware of that cultural feature, we tend to hide more when we're vulnerable.
mm,
When what we really crave is the place to break. What we really want is a safe space to say, I feel like I'm going to shatter. Well, then shatter, but then come back together again, and I don't see you any less than you were before.
mm. Yeah, I think giving the people that safe space to do that,
Yeah.
like when someone says to me, like when I see them at church, "How are you?" And then they say, I can see like tears welling up in their eyes, and I'll say, "Tell me about those tears."
There you go. Acknowledge.
Like not being afraid to ask the question.
Yeah. Not being so uncomfortable that you can stay in the space.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm in church. If I can't do that for my fellow person that's there, regardless if they're a member or someone that just walked in off the
Visitor.
street, how are you? And then they're tearful, and acknowledging those tears, they may not want to share why. They might just say, "Please pray for me."
Yeah.
But the fact that you take the moment to kind of acknowledge that pain or whatever they're feeling, and not assuming what the tears are about, have them tell you what they are, right? And so, but people, I think, just want to be seen, and they don't want to be judged for those vulnerable moments that sometimes you're like got snot and all kinds of stuff, and just you're a hot mess, but being okay with the hot mess.
I want to be able to have a human moment.
Absolutely.
Just a human moment. And I think that in our society we're so rushed and so distracted that we say, "How are you?" and we're gone before the person has the opportunity to answer it. Which what we don't realize is when that happens, you reinforce whatever message that person might have been feeling at the time.
Mhm.
People don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy.
Mhm.
Nobody sees me. This will never change.
Mhm.
And you're the thing that reinforced that.
Mhm.
When you just don't take 5 more seconds to say, "Tell me about those tears."
Mhm. I remember someone said to me, this was, I don't know how long after my son died, but I was going through a moment with my youngest, and it was after my husband had passed already, and this person asked, "How are you today?" And I'm like, "Do you really want to know?" And that person said, I do.
Mm,
They took the moment, and I was like, well, and I'm going to say this, today sucks.
yeah.
And I just bawled. And so I think that person giving me permission to kind of just, and permission to do it, and actually taking the time,
Yeah.
because they could have just came and just been like, well, everything's gonna be fine, offered me some kind of, nicety cliche that
nicety.
we say.
Yeah.
So, but we have about 3 minutes, so maybe like in a minute and a half, I wanted you to share. I know you have some books that you brought, and I want to give you a moment to do that.
Oh yes. So I am a indie author. I have authored. This will be number 5 and hopefully number 6 at the end of this month. But Hey You, a healing workbook series for becoming, belonging, breathing again. But it's been a work of my life. Somebody asked me what was the wind, the healing wind that's come out of your daughter's loss, and it's been developing this healing workbook series. It's being able to talk about it out loud, outright, and without regret. And this next one is my favorite because I'm a little sassy. I mean,
Sassy's good.
I'm a little sassy. Hey Dater is my favorite because Hey Dater talks about the healing that comes after you go through the grieving in the dating process. There's no other place that's going to challenge you more, like bringing someone else into your space and allowing them to assess what they believe are your strengths in relationship, in life, in connection. And so Hey Dater talks about recapturing who you are, catching yourself before you catch feelings. And oftentimes that's what we need to be doing in the process. Some of us we're so broken that we're going into these spaces and we're projecting that on, instead of going to a date, ladies, your first one, and saying, this is my husband. You don't know him. You have no idea who he is or how he's going to show up. This is date 1. Instead of going in and future forecasting, how about just going in and saying, I'm just getting to know you. And this moment is this moment. Because I'm worthy of more if you're not him. I deserve somebody who sees all of me, not just all of what I can be to him.
That's deep.
So it's my favorite one, even though Hey You is my baby. Hey Dater is my favorite.
Okay.
It's my favorite.
I want all of them.
It's my favorite.
You'll have to send me the link.
Yes.
Yes.
It launches on Amazon on January 25th. And then the next one coming out is God. It's me again about him. So that was my very first Christian rom-com. So be gentle, folks. It's I've written many a novel, but God said those you cannot release, probably with good reason.
Okay.
So I had to start from scratch. And then it's a 3-book series. So you get to invest in the characters. You get to learn who they are and love who they are.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to it. I love having you as a guest. We're going to have you back again because just get enough of you. Love it. Well, I want to say thank you for all of you joining us this evening, taking this hour to be with us. And there's our music. And like we always say at the end of our podcast, don't give up, hold on to Jesus, and keep looking up. We'll see you next time.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and me. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life.